su điện pa đề wa she pa chi ten chen pa chi hu tu cao ru yu pa la na me pa la na mi na ki tong pa sam ye chong den de yo wa sha ya tu pa la cha sa lo cho lu kya su chi Gane so ho chu tam che so chen de la mong pa du bo ne wa ne chu ten de na chu chu so te se ke pa chu la chu se lo ma na gu na chu chu sa sang wa ye she kya so se ge lo pro dra ra wa chu ten so na la me wa Gong Gu Chu Ning Chu La Chak Se Lo Sen Chok Yen Ba Tri Ne Da Mui Che Se Lo No Wa Chu La Chak Se Lo Du Dra Chu Dra Si Pa Song Ma Che Nya Me Chen Chen Chu La Chak Se Lo Gong Gu Tu Che Che Yen Ma Tang Che Kien Me Tang Ma Po So nam yu ten yo so jin, ye shin she la chak se lo, ma ye tu cha zhe wa yu, ye wei nye so ne zhu xin, shi du du na chu yu ma, shi ju chu la chak se lo, do ne tu wei la yu ke, la pa da la la tu ne, Jing Yue Dong Hua Yu Den Den Gen Yu La Yang Chak Se Lo Yu Hua Chi Yang Men Jia Jing Yu Hua Mu Song So Pa Ju Ram Yi Sen Ye Yang Su Du De Ni San Ye Ten Pa Yin Karma Ra Re Ma Me Dan Yu Ma Si Pa Chu Buddha Mama Moda Drinka Gu Tu Che Chu Nang De Ta Ta So Nang De Ye Tam Che Zi Pa Ye Gu Pan To E Gyun Ye Do Tu Te Da Dang Na Dang Chi Wei Lo Tu Pe Si Pe So Le Dro Wa Dro Wa Sho
Thus I have heard. At one time, the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of Vulture Peak Mountain, with a great gathering of monks and the great assembly of the Bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in the samadhi of the many aspects of phenomena called profound appearance. At the same time, Venerable Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, saw the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then through the power of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to the Venerable Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva, how should a son of the living stream who wishes to follow the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom? Thus he spoke, and the Noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva answered the Venerable Shariputra with these words. Shariputra, those men and women of the lineage who wish to follow the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should look at it like this. The five skandhas should be seen purely in their natural emptiness. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form also is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, recognition, compositional factors in consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are emptiness. Having no characteristics, they are born and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no recognition, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no phenomena. There is no quality of sight and so on until no quality of mind and no quality of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no exhaustion of ignorance and so on up to the age of death and no exhaustion of old age and death. In the same way, there is no suffering, no origin, no ending, and no path. No wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, since there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on the mind by means of the profound perfection of wisdom. And since the minds have no obscurations, they have no fear. Transcending falsity, deity, and nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the 3 times have relied upon the perfection of wisdom, and have become true Buddhas and surpassed their perfect enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the profound perfection of wisdom, the mantra of insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calls all suffering should be known as truth, for it is not deceptive. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Yata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisattva. Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in profound perfection of wisdom. Then the Blessed One arose from Maximani and said to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva noble Avalokiteshvara that he spoke well. Well done, O son of the lineage it is so. O son of the lineage, since it is just so, the profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced just as you were taught, when the Tathagatas will also rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra, and noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva, and the entire gathering, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, asuras, and Venerabas, rejoiced and praised the words of the Blessed One.
As usual, let's begin with cultivating positive motivations, such that your purpose of being here to receive the teachings of the Dharma is not solely for one's own purpose, but for the benefit of infinite sentient beings. I will do my best to engage in the practice of the Dharma to benefit all other sentient beings, at least setting all sentient beings to the state of higher rebirth. So not only that, but also do my best to engage in the practice to liberate all sentient beings. So then, further, not only the liberations, but also letting all sentient beings, I will let all sentient beings to the state of complete enlightenment. So therefore, when you look at such the stages of the motivation that you have cultivated, is completely based on the cultivation of motivations according to the three scopes, the small scopes, middling, and the great scopes. So this is how we should always begin with our practice, what we call not only just receiving the teachings and reading the text, but putting into a practical use. So here, let's further, cultivate our motivations by visualizing Buddha Shakyamuni in front of ourselves, surrounded by all the great lineage gurus of the Lam Rim. In their presence, visualizing that yourself being in their presence, surrounded by all other sentient beings. So with these motivations, by focusing your mind upon the Buddha, surrounded by the lineage gurus, let's focus on this visualizations for 2 to 3 minutes. So actually, we should give a little bit more time for meditations. However, due to the limit of time, and then also the subject matter of the text that we're discussing it's pretty large and vast and profound. So therefore, we're taking a little bit of time of meditations. So it is good if you can actually begin at least 10 minutes of meditation at your home before you come to the teachings. Would really, really helpful. So with these motivations, now we are receiving the teachings, the stages of the path to enlightenment, which I'm Lam Rim So teachings of the stages, the great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment is traceable to the teachings of the Buddha Shakyamuni. It's then transmitted to the great pundits, great Indian pundits, scholars, who's not only vast, learned, but also a great practitioners who have gained high levels of realizations, which is then transmitted to the great translators of Tibet, and not only translated the text but also practiced themselves and gain high levels of spiritual realizations, would then eventually transmit it to Lam Rim Chenmo. So if you look at this text, the great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment, the subject matter of this text, if you really look at the subject matter of the text, it really teaches us from the mundane activities to the state of enlightenment, liberation and state of enlightenment. Even the way of eating, way of going, way of walking, way of sleeping and so forth are all, taught. Teachings will be found in this Lam Rim Chenmo. The purpose of this teaching is to benefit all other sentient beings. The teaching is given by these great beings for the benefit of all other sentient beings. And we, as a learner or the followers of those beings, we should receive these teachings and practice these teachings for the benefit of all other sentient beings. So this is, how we should begin to practice our the great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment. So now we have reached out of three stages of the path for the capacity of the practitioners. So we are on the stages of the path for the person of the great capacity.
아마이 내가 지지하는 수많은 간해주 가르치는 주고를 세야라고 상자의 정도 안에 추정도 지송을 보라 사제 주변 챔피언하게 사제 마다도는 상자의 정도.
So now here, one of the most important part is to understand that how we can really connect those practices. As we talked about earlier, there are small stages, reading stages, and then great stages. So right now we're on the great stages. So how we can, in other words, how we can create a connecting phrase between the middle stage and also the great stage.
되게 뒤져도 제야지. 되게 달로기나 아무리 쉬고 로션이나. Je dans votre tout chemin de démon de Sholan qui va chemin chance là c'est. Là tout chemin la chance va bien. On est droit. Je dans votre tout chemin de démon c'est là que tout chemin qui l'on va bien. Je dans la chance.
기억을 지금 남기는 거죠.
되게 강하죠 봐.
이 남겨놓고 토기를 시작해. 다른 토기를 대화.
저도 생각 시험인데. 주주도 아주 주주도. 조직 되면
어디도 다 벗어나면 되지. Let's begin with the stages of the path for person of great capacities. So it begins with paying homage to the great compassionate ones. Here this is respectfully I bow down at the feet of the excellent and revered person who have great compassion. So most of the time when you look at that, when you begin to read the text, you will always find a beginning of text. There's a homage verse, right? Homage verse. And the purpose of this homage verse is to remove the obstacles to compose the text, and then also as a purpose of method for gaining the state of liberation and enlightenment. For this purpose, the homage verse could be found in the beginning of most of the treatises of the text. So volume 2, page 15, sorry, the 13th. begin with reading through the text. Reading the text. After such extended meditation on the faults of cyclic existence from the various perspectives, you will see all of cyclic existence as a pit of blazing fire. Then you will be completely consumed with the desire to attain liberations, elimination of suffering, and the afflictions. If you learn the path of the three precious trainings, you will attain liberation, which is free of cyclic existence and is indeed irreversible, unlike the glory of high status within the cyclic existence. However, your elimination of faults and attainment of a good quality will be incomplete. Thus, you will not have accomplished your own ends and can only accomplish the purpose of others in the limited way. Eventually, a Buddha will exhort you, and you will have to enter the Mahayana. Because of this, intelligent person should enter the Mahayana from the beginning. So, the essential point, or the quintessential point of this particular chapter that we have read through, is that just by achieving liberation, it's not adequate enough. It is not enough to working for the benefit of other sentient beings as well as oneself. Let alone that working for the welfare of other beings, it will also not being able to fulfill the purpose of one's own self just by attaining the liberation alone. So how we achieve the liberations by seeing the faults of cyclic existence and seeing the ocean of cyclic existence is like a pit of blazing fire of suffering. You will then, by seeing that, you will then generate a strong motivations of freeing yourself from that cyclic existence, and you will have not even a moment of desire to abide in such an existence. For this purpose, to free oneself from such a suffering nature of cyclic existence, one then engages in the practice of the three high trainings. With this kind of motivations and practice, followed by the three higher trainings, one then not only gaining the higher rebirth, but also free oneself, completely free oneself from cyclic existence, or the other words, liberations. One have gained the liberations from samsara. So why, although that you have achieved such an immaculate, achievements, why we are not still our achievement is incomplete? Why it is incomplete? Accomplishment is incomplete. It's because you still have stages of stains, the mental stains, or afflictions, that need to be removed, and there are still stages of good qualities which need to be achieved. Thus, even though that you may have accomplished liberations, your achievement and your abandonment is still incomplete. So here, when you are on the state of liberations, you still falls into the extreme views of the peace.
인자네 되게 녀모데 pom비기 대화 시와되니라 깨발로 소바 냐바자샤게.
So someone who has gained the liberations, they can live, for eons of meditation by engaging in meditative equipoise for eons.
당연히 동해 영화시 내시이나스라 그래요. 되게 내시이나 깨발로 소바 냐바자요데 아니 뒤서 된지라 상제게네 생고이 따다네. 저런 단단한데 다시야 말이 현대 다시야 말잖아요. 이제는 상제제는 취지 잡기네. 이제는 야노는 이제는 유조 사드 전하는 거죠.
So this is what we call meditative equipoise, also known as Dungil Nyoroshiwi Neshi. Which means thoroughly abandon your sufferings. Thoroughly freed from the sufferings. And you are completely observing in the reality, in other words, observing that ultimate nature of reality. So, with this kind of meditations, it can, sustain, you will sustain this, the individual who have gained such a state of meditation, then such a person can sustain his or her meditation for eons. And then, at one point, one will then be, the word will be heard. It is from a Buddha, by saying that you have actually achieved liberation from samsara, or the liberation from of suffering. You still have not yet completed your achievement and your abandonments.
But the to so you don't go see any 대고에 나 치세 상대기 한국에 된지 강에 세고라 다 된지 되세지 땅고에나 토마네 로던 대바이나 토마네 대바지 메라는 주바지 그래서.
So that's what it suggests here, is instead of staying for eons on the meditations in peace, pacification of sufferings for eons, why don't we, right from the beginning, we engage in the practice that is based on generation of great compassion. In other words, one engages in the practice, or enters into the Mahayana practice, Mahayana practice right from the beginning. That's what it means. So therefore it says, because of this, right, intelligent person should enter the Mahayana from the beginning.
투제 태반이지 때문에 이제도 로지 상시 대단 육제랑스 대담메데 메넌다 당신 이무 준제 메비 로토나 레지 담바지 데가오시 장기 때나 대고지시 전시소마 따르고서.
So then here it says, as a higher suras, compendium of the perfections, Paramita Samasas, says, once you have abandoned forever the two law vehicles, which possess no power to provide the welfare of the world, enter the vehicle which the conqueror Shakyamuni compassionately taught. So this consists only of helping others. And also, when people see the joy and unpleasant are like a dream, and the beings degenerates due to the faults of delusions, why would they strive for their own welfare, forsaking delight in the excellent deeds of altruism?
년도도 라제기 태반이 보다라 제대로 선제지 되는 투지예요만 니파지예요만.
If you enter into the Shervaka or Pratikya Buddha, and they have no power to, provide the welfare of the world or working for the benefit of other sentient beings.
배나가 저도로 밑에 라니 찍고마다 산나도 맹이지네 쟤는 로봇이 남비 유코는 요구 말아.
Just like human beings, someone who solely think about themselves, their own benefits, and such an individual will not really extend any, assistance to others.
태반이 보때도 빠져 신세디 지당 년도도 라제기 나한테 빠져 말해. 상세 나한테 되 빠져 있다고.
In general, the path of Shervaka and Pratikya Buddhas are not an abandonment. It is not an object of abandonment. But if you were to compare with the Bodhisattva's path, and then this is, comparative with this abandonment, it is an object of abandonment. Because when one desires to engage in the practice of the Bodhisattva's deed, wants to engage in the Bodhisattva's deed, then working solely for one's own self need to be abandoned. So here it says the conquerors, Muni, referring to the Buddha, Tupa in the Tibetan, and compassionately taught. So therefore, what it really is, emphasize here is one should begin right from the beginning of one's practice with the compassion. One's practice must be consistent with the compassion. That's why it says that once you have cultivated the compassion will, guide you and take you the right path. Because when you are cultivated uncontrived compassion, and compassion, once you have cultivated such a compassion, then you have no other duty other than helping other beings. So therefore, it will really help you to lead you to the, a right direction. So then this will completely, when you have actually, when one is cultivated this compassion, uncontrived compassion, the great compassion, in other words, day and night, whatever that you do will be the benefit of other sentient beings. You will solely dedicate your activities of the day and night, of activities for the welfare of other sentient beings. So your practice of compassion, the practice and working for the welfare of other sentient beings, compassion and your practice will become a one taste, just like a, water, mingling or the mixing of the water. So once you have cultivated such an uncontrived great compassion, then your practice and your activities of working for the welfare of other beings and your generation of compassion become of one taste. When you are cultivated such a mental quality, the quality referring to the compassion, then you are beginning to, entering into the Mahayana path, entering into the Bodhisattva's path, so that you are entering into the working for the welfare of other sentient beings. So what happens with us is just it says that when people see the joy and unpleasantness, unhappiness are like a dream, and that beings degenerate due to the faults of delusions. We are distinguishing between the joy and happiness, and not actually, understanding what is happiness, what is unhappiness, and what is the real joy. Although it's like a dream, but you are not recognizing this like a dream. Rather, you are taking as a, you're taking that dream-like existence. It's, comprehending the dream-like existence as if they have their own, they exist by way of their own nature. Why we are like looking at those dream-like existence as a truly existence? It is due to our delusions. So therefore it says, why should they strive for their own welfare? Forsake delight in the excellent deeds of altruism. So therefore it says, and if one is intelligent here, taking example of someone who, when you are seeing someone who is who really needs a help, someone who is suffering from even the basic needs, and you see such a destitute beings, and why don't we just go ahead and act and help, provide the welfare, or the help, work for the welfare of that particular beings. So if the child is intelligent, why the child would not save his or her, mother, the blind mother, who is able to fell off the cliff? So then here the text says, when you see that beings have fallen, just as you have into the ocean of existence of and stumbling, unable to walk in the safe directions, because the eye of wisdom, which distinguishes what is adopt, what to adopt and what to discard, for them is closed. Is it not better to care for others and to strive for their welfare? You who are in the conqueror's lineage.
되게 된다는 거 다른 게 다가랑 저 원래 전에 제가 이나 나저도 대바되면 리파테스 용에 지나다 뇌는 통해 깊다. 주기 냥타지 통선하다 생각로 총한 대세면마다 용무시가 나오지.
So if one is intelligent, wise, and then when you see someone who is destitute in the situation of needing your help or your assistance, even though you may not be able to give your hands or whatever, but you should at least have some kind of feeling. You should at least have a genuine sympathy towards this individual.
주기 당당면이 로아테다 한당 제메 대신 있는 지역에 대만이 봐. 로아 타니산의 신나랑 게 제방하라.
So such an individual, when you're seeing such an individual, again that particular individual is not something who is not connected to us at all, who has no connection to us with us at all. Rather, there are we have a really, how do you call it, a profound connection between the individual and oneself. If you if you can take it in the context of the Buddha Dharma, that all those beings are said to be one's own mother in one's past life. So therefore, you have a mother and child relationship. So therefore, why don't we act to help to save that person?
당나도 천대 야마데 되게 냥타고 지해되나 아니 버팅 건데 나오시는 데마치 대체면은 버팅이 다지 코볼을 뒤주고 면서는 하나 세고요 지지바 노다데마 서비진선은 베트 최면 쉬우지 통해 지지로.
So if the son or the daughter is unable to help such a blind mother who is undergoing tremendous amount of suffering, then such a son or daughter is not intelligent and not wise at all. It's obvious. In fact, you could say that it's the consciousness of demon has entered into the son or the daughter.
단단한 속에 민족이 오장한테 단단한 속에 내서 소소 내시 다가라래 단단로와 소소 내시 다가라로 왔다. 전이 소소로 지지세들 전이 다가라는 데서 내려와. 소소라니 단단 것이 다가라는 소소 단단 가다가로데 단단한 것이 다가라는 내려와. 단단된 양타.
So this is how we are. We all are, in a situation. In other words, in a destitute situations, we are all, as sentient beings, ordinary beings, we are in a destitute situation.
전이 거의 내시기 나시 되니라. 다르래. 내가 전이 조고 임바시네. 대다 지수의 선전이 바하고 있는데, 아니 인지의 상에 가서研究. 로 전이의 산업의研究, 대신에 보는 이제 대니 카파고 주어지는.
So then by understanding yourself, how you yourself is uncontrollably being in the cyclic existence and undergoing tremendous amount of sufferings. So you have a strong wish, desire to free yourself from this existence, in other words, the cyclic existence. In the same manner, all sentient beings are in the same situation as you are, who are undergoing tremendous amount of suffering within the cyclic existence.
당연히 지지들로네. 수수만 라니가 제바제이다. 이게 지지들로이다. 싫어 미선 조총 저발라서 조총. 제때 대주 제위 Jirine, Nijimeji Jubu Kanshiyu, the dog Monse Zundri Sumi Zang, she also.
So the same text is again here. There's a compendium of the perfection. Why wouldn't anyone who is in the conqueror's lineage and who works for the welfare of the world have compassion for those stumbling with their eye of wisdom closed, and joyously persevere so as to clear away such confusion? So now here, if you look at this text, like this stanza, we are all like someone the wisdom eye is closed. Let alone that we actually, ascertain that selflessness. Even intellectually understanding of the selflessness is very, hard for us. So now we are really stumbling here now. When we talk about transiting from one life to another life. So it doesn't happen instantly. The one life to another life, we have to travel. We have to travel through the path. And we are stumbling here now. With the eye of the wisdom closed. So we were transiting from one life to another life under the power of afflictions and karma, particularly of chadam, which means attachment and aversion. So if you long to free yourself from such a situation, then we have all this potential in us to free ourselves, not letting ourselves remaining under the power of delusions, under the power of attachment and aversion. Why this is happening is because we are under the power of Maripa, or the delusion or the ignorance. If you are able to clear the ignorance, then you will be able to see the reality of how things are. If you are able to see the reality, then your wisdom eye is not closed. Your wisdom eye is open. With the wisdom eye open, and you will be always on the right path. With opening of such a wisdom eye, not only that will enable you to accomplish your own purpose, but also have a power to providing an accomplishment of other sentient beings' needs. That's why it's why wouldn't anyone who is in the conqueror's lineage and who works for the welfare of other worlds. So by seeing such a understanding one's own situation of being in the secular existence, and also the understanding the situation of other sentient beings who are in secular existence and undergoing tremendous amount of sufferings, then why wouldn't anyone within the concrete lineage will, will help those beings to alleviate from the suffering of secondary existence. So now it is time for us to act and apply or implement those practices to have try to accomplish this method to overcome those the darkness of ignorance, so that you can see clearly the right path which will lead yourself to the right place. So this really takes a time, just by reading once or twice, it's not really going to help us at all. Read, analyze, take your time, and read carefully, analyze carefully, and think carefully. Will then give you some kind of feelings, that special feelings of those. Otherwise, just by reading once or twice, it's not going to help at all. So we should, by reading such texts, we should at least have some kind of feeling that how that I have taken such a rebirth. What is the causes and condition behind my taking rebirth in this secondary existence? And where will I be going in my next life? What kind of causes and condition that I have accumulated so far, which will give rise to the fruition of my fruition in my next life? So by reading such a text, you should at least have this kind of feeling within yourself. If one thinks that once you pass away from this life, and your body is cremated, and nothing will happen to you, but you're gone. If this is the case, then you can do whatever you want and do something that is beneficial for yourself and neglect the needs of other beings. And you can, deceive other beings and cheat other beings and so forth. However, it's not so. Just by cremating our body, it's just cremating our body and turning this body into ashes. But your continuity of your life is still going. So we have to think for that. So all of this, the believers, the religion would believe that, even though that somebody's body is cremated, that they may either the actual person will either go to heaven or to hell. So not just the person is cremated and just gone. This is not believed by any religion. Let's take it back here. So normally when we speak about compassion, and our understanding of compassion is we are extending compassion towards someone who is in a difficult situations. This is normally the compassion, the idea of compassion is having towards this kind of individuals. But when it comes to the compassion in the teachings of the Buddha Dharma, this is not so. So long as you are not afraid from secular existence, or you're not freed yourself from the mental afflictions, we are all object of compassion. You can extend compassion towards anyone. So compassion should not be limited. Your understanding of compassion should not be limited only on the compassion towards someone who is undergoing a difficult situations. So this is a partial, what we call the compassion, partial compassion that we understand. Because if you practice the compassion according to Dharma, then that's a compassion, what we call compassion, impartial compassion. And the compassion of impartiality, with compassion towards all beings, regardless of who they are, what kind of situation they may be, general compassion for. So you should not limit your compassion, understanding of compassion. It's only compassion towards someone who is undergoing difficult situations. But rather think about the situation of all sentient beings, what kind of situation they are in. So based on that kind of understanding of the situation of all other sentient beings, one then generates compassion. So most of the time when we speak about compassion or having compassion towards someone, we need to see something in it, ahead of time by eye consciousness, or you need to hear something through your ear consciousness, or someone who is in such a difficult situation and such is going on with somebody and so on. And then we generate compassion for them. However, when we talk about compassion according to the Dharma, this is not the kind of compassion that we need to follow only our sense consciousness, but rather think about the situation of all other sentient beings. So when we speak about practicing compassion, compassion is a desire for overcoming the suffering of other sentient beings, right? Suffering of other sentient beings. So we're not talking about a compassion, having a desire for overcoming of individual who is undergoing a particular compassion, particular sufferings. Rather, it's saying suffering of all beings. So this is the practice that we need to do. This is the practice that we need to follow. By extending your compassion, by understanding the suffering of all other sentient beings, but rather than focusing on one particular suffering of one individual.
주변한테 대화단 제바단 집비전에 현재된 코드 제바 샤와 제대 손들.
So then let's go through the text here again. Here you should use a great person's joy, charisma, and strength to shoulder the responsibility of others' welfare. For focusing only on your own welfare is a trait shared even with animals.
당나서 로알 때문에 전에 집에 담버려. 오늘 전에 tells say, 오늘 전에 tells 지다 내버려서 이 문제체서 줘라. 이제 시바는 문제체 없어. 이제 그때 제발 문제체.
So it is here it says we should, marvel the actions of other beings, the good deeds of other beings. Is someone who is able to, work for the welfare of other sentient beings. And this is the kind of deeds or actions that we need to marvel, we need to appreciate, and we need to praise and appreciate it.
그래서 구도와 그 대화도 대화성에 대해서는 생각이 대화를 하지 대화집니다. 아주 뭐 현대적으로 콘로치 카드를 저거 제거나 계산지 대화식을 제해도 좋다. 다 선체 통제기 때문에 좀 통해지 대화지에는 오늘 보내기 세를 기회 대화죠.
This will, give you ultimate joy working for other sentient beings. If one is able to work for the welfare of other sentient beings, as a result, an individual who is actually engaging in such a deed will experience a great bliss. In other words, an ultimate happiness, extraordinary happiness. Just like someone who is really engaging in the practice of tolerance or the real practice of patience. When such an individual encounters with someone who is so harsh and very, short-tempered person, and the practice who is such individual who is engaging in the patience, the practice of patience, diligently, will have a great joy by encountering such an individual, harsh and someone who is short-tempered and so forth.
네, 이제 그 지역으로 지금부터 초도 지금 제일 이때 이제 대선을 도와대. 상계 대선을 이번에 된로나다 팀모아이 비셔로 왔습니다.
So it says like, which is here you should use a great person's joy, charisma, and strength to shoulder the responsibility of others' welfare. For focusing only on your own welfare is a trait shared even with animals.
그래서 선전의 지 통주 동시에 개발을 그 내경의 연식 비문 것이 제도 나와. 그 로아 미리를 세대 다 간지 넣지 내가 화시도록.
So here again we are not talking bad things about animals. They have taken a rebirth as animal, but just due to their own past karmic deeds, and so therefore they are less intelligent than human beings. This is obvious, right?
이 시대도 이 시대에서 전부는 정신에 이제 폐대 라서 타지도 쇼와 이제 아마나 좀 말해.
So then it says, consequently, the fundamental orientation of the great person is to focus solely on achieving the happiness and benefit of others.
이제 전부생이 질러내게 개발침비를 제도서 넘바 통제도 현대는 봐도 타지도 쇼가서 대마도 내가 매라.
So someone who is engaging in practice, someone who is actually cultivated a great compassion, uncontrolled great compassion, and such an individual has no other project than working for the welfare of other sentient beings.
만수 사는 동료를 몇 니지 생활도 그렇소나 니지 가르쳐줘는 뭐들라 나오냐와.
Just like someone who is there someone who is actually cultivated uncontrived compassion, and such individual become under the power of compassion. And the compassion is the guidance for the individual. Wherever the compassion leads, the individual will follow it.
그래서 뭘 공소나 맞아요. 진짜 재미있는 거예요. 말아서 이제 하고 있는 아버님 한번더 면세 대들만 말아서 진짜 재미있는 거예요. 돈이도 비싸로 이거 이게 어떤 거예요.
We also have the same capacity. We do have a potential of letting ourselves, not by under the power of negative thoughts and emotions, but under the power of great compassion. If we familiarize ourselves, it requires a great, efforts and the, the links of familiarization, such a cultivation of such a quality of mind. If we really put in efforts, we all have a capacity, we all have a potential of generating an uncontracted compassion. However, we're not really trying ourselves to familiarize with such a practice of compassion, the great compassion.
그때가서 첫번째 가르치는 차이에 나서 뒤쪽은 로로 먼저 가르쳐서 로 공부하는 게 로도 통만에 받는다. 아니 로도 공부한테 다시 말아. 되게 좀.
So if you look at ourselves, while we are really not being under the power of compassion, is because we have been familiarized with, the opponent of the compassion for a long period of time, the events and events. So whichever the mental factor that is more powerful and more influencing to us and more familiarized with us, we become under the power of that particular, mental factor. So therefore, for us, it is obvious we are more remaining under the power of negative state of mind rather than a positive state of mind.
어떤 때도 차다절마도 내처셔도 때문에 계속이 나서 줘야 매년도 자체자체 작업을 매년 가서 라바디를 통과시켜 봐라.
So we are so, remaining very firm. So I'm just saying that it is for myself. I'm just talking about myself. We're really remaining so firm, believing what I think is right all the time, and not believing that there is some kind of medicine that can cure the syndrome of three poisons. Although there is a medicine, but I'm being so firm that I don't think there is such a medicine that can cure. That is my own fault. If you really put in effort and should not be that firm and then really believe and try to practice and try to really get the medicine to overcome those symptoms, then there is something. But however, it's not so. It's due to my past familiarization with negative thoughts and emotions. I remain so firm and believing in myself, there is no such cure. In fact, instead of recognizing those negative thoughts and emotions, such as attachment, aversion, or the hatred, and the ignorance, are as a syndrome. Rather, I look at them as my supporter, as something that really needed for me, and that's why not finding a curable medicine for that syndrome. So it is always, instead of focusing outward, you should always try to focus inward. And then you will be able to find a medicine that can cure the three poisons.
더 된다 시대 진도 다돼요 그래서 넘어갈 때 거네 얘가 공부를 손해
그러면 어디 들으셔
타와라
일단 들으셔 타와 상주 스텝 이제 나한테 어디 담지
안에 손목이
좀 손목이 센지
나 넘어갈 때 거네 네 신의 예리 자강 가다 휴장랑이 사지 신도 공배 동안 70년나 강거 통 내는 주변에 신바 좀 강인바 내는 제바인데 대 가서인데 대대 집이 제대파 녀마로 친신 시다라 녀마로 쳇다전 좋아 당시 강인다 그와 미지 사인지 된 바 강인데 randengi chenpo na terade deda jiten penda devi ro la jitu shoro she so so
So the Chandra Gomin's the letter to students Sialika says the domestic animals eat mouthful of easily found grass, and when tormented by the great thirst, they happily drink water they find. Here, those who make an effort at working for the welfare of others do so out of charisma, joy, and surpassing strength. The sun's great rays shine everywhere, traveling like a horse-drawn chariot. The ground supports the wall without calculating the burden. Such is the nature of the person of great capacity, who lacks any self-interest. They are consumed with whatever brings happiness and benefit of the world.
최첨부 시들마도 런데 루스네 도구 당소 있다더라. 뭐च्या데 사야 통에 대해도 거야 돼. 대야 가래. 세제 들어져 빼면서 제일 좋았다.
So here what it says is now, if you are, whatever that you may do, if you do so only based on the self-interest, then we're not much different from animal processes. When we talk about the self-interest, it is mainly to food, clothing, shelter, name, and a fame. So, if one's existence is used only on such activities of accomplishing one's own needs, then it is not much different from animal. So it is, as we talked about earlier, that only someone who works solely for the welfare of other sentient beings need to be praised and appreciated and marveled. So here now, for us, why we are unable to work for the welfare of other sentient beings selflessly, it is because, let's take an example of ourselves. Let alone that we can help other beings selflessly, but we are not even ready to accept even a one bad word, isn't it? This really shows how our self-centered attitude is really dominating us. When someone says something, even a one word that is offensive to you, you can't bear that. So this is really one of the major obstacles for working for the welfare of other beings. So here now, let's talk about the, when someone was athletic, so we are normally talking about the physical athletic, right? So now here, what we have to be is you should be athletic, the mental athletic, it says.
아주 되게 상주에서 뭐 이게 사통벌 행인데서 이게 센치 제장세더라. 타투비 센지 라파 타투번 대생 센지 시와 타투버 대에는 명이 세징의 희생이 차라니 되게지게지는 좀 맞는데 어디 제장.
So that's why the great noble beings always advise us to train your mind, exercise your mind, and try to become at the most, in other words, the best mental athletic, so that you will be able to reach on top, the peak of the existence, by using the mental athlete.
인산에 신도 되게 기체의 정서나 그래나 상에 가로 카디자 통이 지거마도 선거 준정을 제는 게 제제였어요 말아.
So when you have trained our mind in such a way, and regardless of what kind of situation there may be, you're able to take it, you're able to withstand, and you will have no negative effect. So do you all, in which case, you will be the victorious one.
근데 이 배치도 배들이 배 차고지도 배는 님마이 위해서라 님이 위해서 라우데 내식경을 쳐버렸어. 배는 가정대로 배시에도 배는 신다 뒤 나고 신다세도 배도 걸어 걸어 나갈 때는 신다 뒤집거네 내집거나야나 님이 위해서 맞춰서지 매봐 아니. 이제대시비 로데게 신체경을 맞춰서 매봐서 배고 숨들 타고지.
So think about it, how the sun, the light of the sun, when the sun, emits or its light to the planet Earth, and sun has any discriminations. It actually pervades the four directions, four cardinal and four intermediate directions, without any discriminations. In the same manner, when it comes to the compassion, extension of the compassion, one should extend one's compassion towards all being like a light of the sun.
그와 메시지 대사이 저 메시지 양들이 지지기 꺼버서는 많이 막 가제 니지 전부 세계균을 주고도 세계고 거다 하버려서야 되지. 들리지는 매겠지.
So there shouldn't be any exception when it comes to the compassion, when it comes to the generated compassion. Without exception, it's always. When you look at the text, it will always say, may I generate compassion towards all other sentient beings without exceptions. So you should not leave even one single sentient beings will not become under the care of your compassion.
그 가르쳐서는 배는 니지 배는 나중에 니지 좀 가는데 배는 농가 돼 있으니까 가가를 미비 니지 좀 해서 계셔요 말아.
So when we practice compassion, great compassion, meditating on great compassion, we are not practicing great compassion solely focusing on one's loved ones, or someone who is nearby yourself, or someone who is related to you, or someone, people who is in your own society. So this is not the type of compassion that we are practicing.
가르쳐서는 농해지 영화도 통하디 말이 비기 미노는 련년 영화도 보기 세계균을 미용디 균을 쳐.
So rather, once our focus of our compassion is towards all sentient beings, the beings who are actually blinded by the darkness of ignorance, who are remaining under the power of karma and delusions, and those would be the object of our compassion.
마도 선정 권한에든지 칼라상의 명이 질미서는 뭐가 소소를 인세와 연주로 이렇게 좀 말이죠.
So if we apply for compassion only for someone who is in a difficult situation, such as someone who is not having enough food to eat, not having a shelter, not having a... If your compassion is limited only on those things, then your compassion is so limited, and it's also biased as well. So practice of compassion should be generated by focusing on the suffering nature of all other sentient beings, all sentient beings, not just focusing on someone who needs help, someone who is lacking some resources and so forth. Otherwise, our practice of compassion will become partial and biased.
대단지 템펜터 대유 로지学세대学세대 하는 쇼요로学生인데 지도 봐봐 타대면 봐 질라고 그래 로데 봐서는 리치 강제도 오지
So
general
always, compassion, practice of compassion, when one is engaged in practice of great compassion, you should not think of anything else. Just mere focusing on the nature of the situation of how, situation of their existence, and having a, genuine wish to free yourself, free them from that nature of existence. In other words, suffering nature of psychic existence.
답변은 맞아 되는 해지점을 주로만 해지점을 제어도 도등에 지어서는 맞아 감각 비등 이미 소리지르면 신체 감각 소소 이미 소리지르면도 이와 생이지 전부다 통한지가 배도 동안 되게 감각 소소 이미 소리지르.
Someone, individual, for example, one of us that generated this great compassion. The way you look at all of us, and the way someone who has not cultivated this great compassion looking at others will completely different. Because someone who has cultivated the great compassion will not have any difference the way they, in terms of looking at the nature of their existence and looking at the, talking about the situation of their existence and so forth. And such an individual, someone who is cultivated a great compassion, will not have, a partial feeling towards other beings.
대중이 저는 신체 지기시야 개발 남에도 류동적으로 쓰이더라. 개발 가르데 냐와 남에는 로동자 내가는 신체 지기 엔토르세디 소소대신 치바명에 차소나 이와시에면도.
So therefore, in fact, that such an individual, the practitioner, will really become part of that individual, not just as separate from yourself, but rather that individual is a part of yourself. So it is therefore we find in many texts that says, even for one sentient beings, I'm ready to endure eons and eons, even in the hell realms, in order to alleviate the suffering of the sentient beings. This is really, what we call the wise way of practicing compassion. And this is what we need to familiarize ourselves. And this is how we need to follow the footsteps of those practitioners. Then it says, one who sees a beings tormented by the above-mentioned sufferings and who hastens to act of their welfare is called a person of great capacity and adept. So now here what it says is now, how can we venerate someone? How can we call someone as a great practitioner of great capacity. So that's what it says. Someone who is solely working for the welfare of other sentient beings. Someone who is, remaining under the power of compassion and working for the welfare of other sentient beings is said to be the person of great capacity. So in such an individual, if you find such individual practitioners, and why wouldn't we really, venerate such individual, someone who is solely thinking about the suffering, elevating the suffering of other sentient beings, and someone who is not even having a time, even if he or her, head is on fire, does not have a time to extinguish that head, but to working for the welfare of other sentient beings. Wouldn't we, really venerate such a person? Wouldn't we consider such a person as a great capacity, person of great capacity? So it's not just a theory; it's all practical. We're speaking about the practical, things here. It's not, nor it is just a story. I'm sharing this story, but rather, if you really think carefully and contemplate, read carefully, this will all become a practical. It's a practical. It can be, adapted part of our practical, So then the same text says, those who see beings disturbed by the smoke cloud of ignorance and enshroud the world, helplessly fallen into a blazing fire of sufferings, and hastily make effort as if their own heads were on fire, are here called great persons and adepts. So then the next it talks about that if we were to cultivate great compassion, what will the benefit? What kind of benefit that one may gain out of practicing compassion, great compassion? Therefore, the Mahayana is the origin of all good of self and others, and the medicine that alleviates all troubles. The great path traveled by all knowledgeable persons, nourishment for all beings who see, hear, remember, and come into contact with it. So if such a great compassion is arisen in one's continuum, so this is the benefit that we may gain out of it. And that which has the great skill and the means that engages you in others' welfare, thereby indirectly achieve your own welfare in its entireties. Once you enter these links, the wonderful I have found what I am looking for. Enter his supreme vehicle with all of the strength of an excellent person that you have.
그냥 파신 되바래 노생이다
Yes, sir.
싫어 너다 뭐도 티비초 대체 통치 레가마레나 투체 통치 쳔바 텔레죠 얘는지 되는지 이미지 유된 야마샤이 유다가 시에송바다 꽃파존의 개발침의 유된 통에 이 정비 개발침의 주고 샤오
So he says the compendium of the perfection states. Yeah. This supreme vehicle is realized by the genuine wisdom. From it, the omniscience of the great sage arises. He is like the eye of the world. He is radiant like the rays of the sun rising sun. Rays of the rising sun. Thus, enter the Mahayana after you have developed a great respect for it, induced by seeing its good qualities from various perspectives. Up until now, that I haven't been able to generate great compassion and the bodhicitta, so that I have not been able to, understand the suffering of all other sentient beings. From now on, I will do my best, put all efforts and exert and energy to be able to cultivate great compassion by reflecting upon the suffering of all other sentient beings. And may all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the 10 directions bestow upon me the blessings to be able to do such things, to be able to engage in such a practice.
Cho he yi ra ju ha yi. Ten ten sa wa che ma jo. Se che yo le mi jo ten le. De lu chang chu nang ju ren le yang. Tang de nang de yi ra ben le jing. Yo le ze wa ren du zhong ju ji. Lang san zhu ye ten jian zhu xie jing. Ge jian si jie mian gang mian mian gun. Se ya gun du yao ye ngao ha yi. Na 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 jia wa ma yu qi. Gang se te wa xiu na qiu qiu qiu. Si jian zhu na zheng wa di yi se. Tu nian nan zhi da du zhu xie qing. 大学要从手根照入去，那边不再绕天津，南开春雷处处皆怕凉，路上准备路面上送去，路面不小早土连入去，各位各位请看住。 那边我马路中为你，前辈是往天子要受益，小辈是天花度天如去，把我觉察成花样，用度上坡天阳的现对，得到根据接受到落去。 给我的老同学把土木，就送学费给我同学去，让我跟了处处娘把的，大日给为啥我的文章，上坡休息让土木啊。